Good morning and welcome to today's Intel Brief. Today is April 29th and I'm your host Daniel. Today we'll be covering the World Court has examined Israel's ban on UNRWA. Power is being restored after a huge outage has hit Spain and Portugal. And India and Pakistan have traded gunfire along the line of control. So firstly, the International Court of Justice on Monday began a hearing about Israel's obligation to ensure and facilitate humanitarian aid to Palestinians in Gaza and the occupied West Bank. The case stems from a request from the United Nations General Assembly last year for the World Court to determine whether Israel was in breach of the UN Charter by banning all cooperation with the UN Relief and Works Agency for Palestinian refugees. Israel was starving, killing, and displacing Palestinians while also targeting and blocking humanitarian organizations trying to save their lives, Palestinian ambassador to the Netherlands told the court. Israel has long accused the UN of bias, and its foreign aid minister on Monday said that the UN and UNRWA should be on trial themselves. This case is part of a systemic persecution and delegitimization of Israel, the foreign minister said. More than 40 countries will testify during the 5-day hearing in The Hague. Israel will not make an oral submission, but instead has given written submissions. In December, the General Assembly passed a resolution sponsored by Norway. It asked the ICJ, on a priority basis and with the utmost urgency, to determine Israel's obligations to ensure and facilitate the unhindered provisions of urgently needed supplies essential for the survival of Palestinian civilian population. This week's hearing comes as the UN humanitarian organization, OCHA, called the situation in Gaza probably the worst it has ever been in the last 18 months. So what? I don't think Israel was going to care, to be quite frank. They have been attacked by the UN since over the last 30 to 40 years with a ridiculous amount of UN actions taken against them. I don't think this is going to stop them. Both Israel and the current US administration do not see these cases as legitimate and fair, so they're unlikely to take any action. However, if they are found to be in breach by the ICJ, this will give ammo to nations who are very critical of Israel and possibly lead to them taking actions against Israeli businesses working abroad, which could quite quickly have a flow-on effect for the Israeli government. So that's kind of the key I see. Outside of that, I don't see Israel caring what the ICJ says. They haven't yet, and I don't think they intend to anytime soon. And next, power has started returning to parts of the Iberian Peninsula late on Monday after a huge outage brought most of Spain and Portugal to a standstill, grounding planes, halting public transport, and forcing hospitals to suspend routine medical operations. Spain's Interior Minister declared a national emergency, deploying 30,000 police across the country to keep order as governments from 2 countries convened emergency cabinet meetings. Outages on such a scale are extremely rare in Europe. The cause of the outbreak was unclear, with Portugal suggesting the issue originated in Spain, and Spain pointing at the finger at a breakup in its connection to France. The Portuguese Prime Minister said there was no indication of a cyber attack had caused the blackout, which began at 10:33 GMT. Nonetheless, rumours have circulated online about possible sabotage, and Spanish Prime Minister said he had spoken to the NATO Secretary General. So what? This kind of just goes to show how non-resilient the power grids in both Spain and Portugal are, and how linking all the power grids together can be quite risky in some regards. While there's currently no indication that this was caused by cyber attack or sabotage, it is a good way of testing out resiliency plans, which clearly failed, but also how countries deal with it. It's basically just like a large-scale drill of what would happen if there was a large-scale sabotage or cyber attack on a power grid. So, a good practice in that regard. But yeah, we'll see. They clearly need to do some more to ensure that their grids are sustainable and more resilient to issues such as this. But quite a lot of lessons learnt. It'll be interesting to see what the cause actually was, as they haven't ruled out cyber attack yet. But we'll see. Stand by for more information on that. And lastly, Indian and Pakistani forces have exchanged fire along the line of control for the fifth night in a row, as the UN calls for maximum restraint amid warnings of wider military escalation following the deadly attack in Kashmir. Kashmir has been divided between India and Pakistan since their independence in 1947, with both sides claiming the full territory that should be under their control, leading to lingering tensions and multiple wars. Indian army sources told Al Jazeera on Friday that the Pakistani side initiated the shooting. However, Pakistan denies this and blames India, as is pretty par for the course in these situations. It is unclear which area along the line of control the fire took place. Stop. There's been lots of videos online, especially on Twitter, from the Pakistani side of heavy weapons and armoured vehicles and troop movements up towards the line of control. While these same images have not been seen on the Indian side, it is suspected that this is due to better operational security from the Indian side and Indians not posting troop movements on social media, which, is a pretty good OPSEC practice. So what? While it appears that, there's always the possibility that this could lead to a much larger conflict as tensions are extremely high, and one tiny mistake could escalate to massive conflict, even the possibility of nuclear war, as Pakistan has threatened numerous times in the last 30 years. It's quite likely that this will just eventually simmer down after a few weeks of exchanges over the line of control. Neither side is likely to try and invade the other at this stage, as they both know the consequences of that. Pakistan is getting backed by China, it appears. So it seems unlikely that India is looking for a large-scale conflict, as interviews with retired military generals indicate that India saw the current conflict in Ukraine and other areas around the world as taking up basically everyone's attention, making it unlikely that there would be a war between them and Pakistan, and in which case they weren't investing heavily into the military or military preparedness. So it doesn't seem like India is either ready to go across the border or willing at this point. The key takeaway for me is that while conflict across the line of control is likely to continue to go up in severity and frequency, it is unlikely that either side will try and invade the other, leading to a large-scale conflict. Thank you for listening to today's Intel Brief. I've been your host, Daniel, and if you'd like to learn more about intelligence, check out the link in the description below, or grab some merch. Otherwise, we'll see you again tomorrow. See you!